Both rich and poor share the same hopes and wishes for their children. We all would want the best education for our children. We all would want our children to have the basic necessities in life. But some people cannot afford that. And that is the dilemma in which we find ourselves in.
I remember very well when I started working in Gugulethu, many people not trusting me. And one day there was an international meeting in Greenpoint, which is the big stadium in Cape Town, and I was talking with a lot of officials, all white guys, very racist group of people. And all of a sudden, a young black child screamed my name, Jan, 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 and came running and jumped up and took me around the neck. And I knew this can only be a child from Gugulethu. I did not know who she was. But the big satisfaction I got from the reaction of the people that was around me, the shock they had on their faces, and I felt very great. For this child that had the courage to run up and take me around the neck, as if I'm her father or her brother. And then I knew I had arrived in Gugulethu.
Gugulethu was built in 1960, specifically for black people who were coming from the Transkei and the Ciskei. Those are the rural areas of South Africa. So this is how Gugulethu, and most urban areas started. Bantu education had been, designed to make sure that black people get a very inferior type of education. So they were not educated. This has been a very rich country, and that wealth was in the hands of a very few people.
What you people call shanty towns, which are quite made up of leftover material that people pick up somewhere, and that becomes a home. I think you can't live worse than that. You'll find there's most probably no water, there's most probably no toilet, and you'll find in a shack measuring say about 9 foot by 9 foot, you might find a family of 10 to 14 people living without running water and without any toilets.
After 1994 elections, where we realized that a lot of young people were unemployed, and also found out that they were unemployable. So we decided to do something so that we help them get to the labor market.
And that is how the Giles Wane Center for Training and Development was born, out of a need to train people to get jobs, to make an economic difference.
It was 2 years down the line when we identified another problem.
Then we found out in many cases these children were the first children to be educated in the families, further than say grade 4, and secondly that there was nobody at home to help them with homework.
So we started an after-school study program where they would go to these schools, come back to the center and be assisted with homeworks. We were approached by the local school because they were having a problem with children that were not having any food, and we started a feeding program, and these children are getting food from the center. And what actually was disturbing was when these children called Jan and I one afternoon, it was a Thursday, to say thank you. And after saying thank you, they said, is it possible to extend this program from a Friday to Monday? Because on weekends we don't have any food to eat, and we just can't wait for Monday. And whilst we were dealing with that, the whole question of reconstruction and development of our country, HIV and AIDS became a serious problem.
How, like, for instance, you view a relationship is a relationship.
The children are the most affected because, one,
both parents die and most of the children are left to fend for themselves, because when AIDS hits a family, it does not, like for instance, become just an issue of sickness. Poverty is intertwined into it, and you are seeing a lot of children that have to leave school because they cannot, like for instance, fend for themselves.
That is how the Rainbow School came around, and it plays a very important part in the life of the 500,000 people in Gugulethu, because there is no other place like that. And that is now where our partnerships become very important, because there's no way we can sustain these things on our own.
The most difficult part with the poverty in the townships is when they really come to me and say, we've not eaten for days. Then you can ask, what I do about it. And I would say I would never have been in a position to respond. So there are things that could be done. And we cannot address the whole situation at one go. We will have to actually deal with it bit by bit.